So today we're talking all about mindsets, Bible style. So what is a mindset? This is the lens in which you navigate the world, navigate your situations. So we're going to do it Bible style. Both mindsets were trying to honor God, but from two different places. And in these stories, we really do understand how mindset really is driven by what is influencing you in life and what your beliefs are. A person that's trying to follow God, but if the environment you're in isn't conducive for that, that's going to influence into your mindset. So this is all about mindset and how that can influence how you honor God. I'll share the backstories and draw out the lessons and reflect on them through our modern day lives. We take on life through the lens of scripture. We're diving into two stories, one 1 Samuel and one from Judges. And honestly, the chaos in the Bible sometimes just mirrors our own life. Not every detail, but enough to make us pause. So today, we're talking about Hannah in 1 Samuel and Jephthah in Judges 11. Both made promises to God, both were connected to their children, and both were trying to honor him. But one led to blessings, the other to heartbreak. So let's talk about what it really means to honor God and how one decision made from the right mindset and a wrong mindset can change everything. We start with Hannah in 1 Samuel. Hannah is aching for a child. She's mocked, she's misunderstood, but instead of lashing out, she turns to God in prayer. She makes a vow. If you give me this son, I'll give him back to you. This was complete surrender, taking your problems to God. She wasn't manipulating God, she was trusting in him. And when God gave her Samuel, she kept her word. She raised him for a few years and took him to the temple to serve. The result of it, Samuel became one of the greatest prophets of Israel. And God blessed Hannah with more children. Now, Jephthah, Judges 11. So Jephthah was a leader that was raised by God, about to go to battle. But before, I'm not sure whether he panicked or had cold feet or didn't trust in the Lord, but he made a vow to God. If you give me victory, I will sacrifice whoever comes out from my house to greet me first. And guess who came out from his house with joyous celebrations to greet him after the battle? His daughter. This was a very hard story for me to swallow from the Bible. But here's the thing. God never asked for a vow from Jephthah. He had already raised him up to be a leader in battle. And in fact, in Deuteronomy 12:31, God makes it clear that he detests human sacrifice. Jephthah wasn't surrendering to God. He was bargaining, trying to win favor from God with a reckless promise, shaped more by fear than what God really represents. Now that we have the backstories, let's go through the 3 things we learned about honoring God. Honoring God starts with knowing him and knowing his heart. And how do we do this? By reading scripture. Hannah knew what character God was. Her vow was born out of trust. She knew that God saw her. Jephthah, on the other hand, acted like God was a vending machine. If you give me this, I will give you that. So honoring God is all about knowing him and knowing his heart. The second point, what matters is where this promise is coming from. So Hannah and Jephthah, same act, a vow, but one is rooted in worship, surrendering all, while the other is rooted in desperation. It's not just what we do, it's why we're doing it. God sees through all the show. Hannah's vow led to flourishing, while Jephthah's led to devastation. For me, this has taught me so much about my own prayer life. Instead of, God, give me this promotion, I need this, I offer it to God. I start with, God, these are my wishes. I'm giving you the situation. Be it done to me as your will. Obviously, I'll still prepare for it. I am at peace with the results that come out. If I get it, that was great. If I don't get it, I know that there's something else for me. And the third point, don't make deals with God. God just wants you to trust him. Don't make deals with God that you know that you cannot follow through. God just wants you to trust him. God doesn't require performance. Jephthah acted like God still needed a bit of assurance that he had been appointed as a leader. But God had already raised him up. God had chosen him. God was with him. He didn't need to bargain anymore. Hannah surrendered to God. She knew that God was with her. She gave her her prayer, her heart to God. And I feel like this is something I do, I don't even think about, but there's always that bargain. If you give me this, Lord, I will give you that. If you give me more money, I will give more to the church. If you give me more, I will support more. But if you can't give God at the point where you are now, why would he give you more? To honor him with the little that you have now, as Hannah did, honored him with in the situation she was in, and God gave her more, while Jephthah, already being raised, then made a reckless vow. So for me, these two stories, they draw down that there's so much that comes out of honoring God, and there's so much in my life that I can adjust and fix. And when I find myself sort of trying to bargain with God, I always catch myself out of there, because I always have that story of Jephthah in my head now. And every time I'm trying to pray for something, I look at it with what intention am I doing this, and always have that mindset of Hannah in my mind. So this story is all about what trust in God looks like. Trust God completely. Jephthah, I don't believe, really trusted him. Knowing fully well that God had appointed him to go into battle, he should have stood with that and had a lot of faith that God has appointed him for that. He didn't need to sacrifice anything else. God has given him that calling. And it also speaks to me about the gifts that God gives us. These gifts are not ours to be bargained with. If God gives you a gift, you've got to give it back to him. In a sense, how Hannah does it as well. Hannah had Samuel and gave it back, and gave him back to the Lord, and so much came from Samuel, and she was blessed even with more kids. So I find sometimes God has given everybody a gift, and you have got to use that gift to better the world that you're in. Don't hold it. The more that you use the gift, the more that you practice with it, actually you get more back. So I challenge you today. Let's have a heart like Hannah and give to the Lord with honor. Also give those gifts that the Lord has given us, and not to bargain with our gifts. So which mindset spoke a bit for you today? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's build a community so that we all wing it with a little bit of thought.